There we go. What? Set the video screen. Let's fix this. That should do it. There we go. Hello. I just got updated in here. Welcome. Welcome to the art team office hours. I'm Aegis Wolf, part of the art team of Resonite. Or, well, technically Yellow Dogman, but Yellow Dogman Studios is the studios behind making Resonite, so technically both. Went through and there was an update to Resonite recently that just dropped, so I had to quickly restart Steam to get the new update. It takes a little bit for servers to kind of update on Steam's end, so now I'm here. Here to answer questions to folks tuning in, whether it be about creating stuff within the platform, or creating stuff for it, or using the platform itself to make things outside of it. Welcome to the stream. Hello, Kite. Actually, there is one thing I wanted to get. I do have Twitch chat in here as well, too. There are some things I'm going to work on while answering questions or just hanging out here. Let's see here. Next thing on my to-do list. There we go. I'm going to need to get some other tools real quick. Dynamic variable tools. There we go. So far, for those just tuning in, this is the art team office hours. For those that want to talk about or ask about stuff in regards of making things within here and such, while I fiddle around, tweak things, and work on things as well. In this case, we're going to be updating the sun tool. In general, the main objectives is to refresh and update all the beginner's experience, at least the current stuff that we have right now, replacing models, updating bug fixes, fixing all quirks here and there. In this case right here, finally replacing this placeholder tool. Oh, well, I guess it doesn't work. Does this one work? Okay, even more reason to replace it. Yeah, this tool will allow you to move the sun. At least in the skyboxes that we've set up in this way. This tool technically still exists. It's just the light tool. So if I go here, here's a slightly older version of it, but yeah, the light tool is literally the directional light version of the light tool. So having two of the same tools that do different things isn't really ideal. So making one from scratch would be good. And so far, most of the visuals are done. Just gotta add some more animations and some fixes. I noticed that the laser just now kind of Well, I kind of like it going through the sun there, so I'll leave it as that. You will be able to get the new sun tool to answer your question, Chundalak. If you go to the Essentials, the current one right now is in the Essentials Tools Miscellaneous? No, Custom Tools. It is under Custom Tools. So let me open it on my end. There we go. So we got Resonite Essentials, you got Tools, you got the new tools that have been updated here. Just got done finishing updating some of the fixes that needed to be done this morning. And within the MISC category, you'll see that multi-tool, but under the custom tool. This is what the current one looks like. So, but the new one will be there once it's done. One of the other things that we'll be doing some point in the future, probably soon, is the brushes as well. Thankfully, I don't need to redo the thumbnails on these because it just shows like what the brushes draw out. But the brush models need to be updated. Especially since there's a few brushes within the Cloud Home. Right here. So Jack actually was inspired by the way that I do the tool thumbnails. I can showcase that. Let's see here. Art style. No, it was under inventory item thumbnail rigs. There we go. Alright. This is what it looks like. So at first it was like a very kind of. Actually, it started out looking like this. It's like a jerry-rigged camera with a button that would just pop up the image. But it wouldn't save it as like a screenshot. So from there, I decided to just take the original camera, make it a square resolution that you can just change right here. And this flat plane in the background is a quad. Thing about these is if it's a procedural mesh, you can change the color of each corner. And if you use vertex colors and then like an unlit material, you can like tint each color a different color. Corner a different color. So I'll tint, say, the right corner there red, this one blue, this one yellow. And you got this interesting looking gradient going on here. But I usually just put two of the main colors here on the top, and this dark off black, and we got ourselves a nice gradient. And then if I put something in front of it, say this for example, I have like a couple of empty objects under this, at least for what I used last night and a couple of nights before. This little orientation helper, which is just an empty object to parent the tools under, and then I made like a little slider to move it back and forth to get it closer away from the camera instead of manually using the tool every time. And I can just fine tune it by typing in a custom number there. Also, the main difference too of the thumbnails that Jack has made and I is I wanted to avoid any text within them, mainly due to the fact that you can't change the text for like different languages if you bake it as a texture, at least at the moment. But you can at least see what it is when you click on it. I just noticed something here. There's little firefly particles. I thought those should be turned off at night. May as well fix it while we're here. Okay, that's where the users are. Furniture particles. What's going on here? It's probably a wrong variable name. There's the culprit. Okay. Dawn sky, day and night interpolation. Elements. What's under miscellaneous? It's been a while since I've seen this. Day night lerp. That's interpolation. Ah, okay. That's the right one. Let's test it out. Whoop. See if they turn on. There we go. I see the little fireflies everywhere. And if I bring the sun back up, they're gone. I'm gonna clear some of this. I'm gonna keep these right here so that I know I'm working on that. Okay, I didn't leave anything over there. Progress save. And it started syncing good. May as well take out some of the other things that has been in progress of being reworked. And there we go. This is going to be fun. One of the things I am going to have to go through and see if there's any things to refactor is these things. These are using a module, or modular, but albeit older projectile system that utilizes the async coding capability of Protoflux. And what I mean by that is, for example, previously, if you were able to, or if you're not using async, you would have to basically attach the code that would move that projectile on each individual projectile. So right now what it has a single piece of code in there that just controls any projectile you shoot. It's quite handy when, say, you shoot a lot of them all at once. Actually, a good test to do is the ricochet that I was working on too. these things bounce around off of walls, ceilings, etc. Do you want to change the speed of these real quick? Projectile velocity, let's up the velocity. And up the bounce count, there we go. Oh, it definitely works alright. Although it may be a bit heavy at the moment if you are constantly firing it, like 20 or 30 of them at once. Although I'm curious to see the performance difference once the performance updates of Resonite come out. So for the use case that I'll use the system in here is fine because the fire rate of these weapons aren't really as fast. I'm usually handling like one of these projectiles, say, per user, shouldn't be that bad. And when they hit something, they stop moving so they don't calculate anymore. Oh, I forgot that doesn't have a collider, that's why it went through it. Within the Resonite Essentials, this projectile system has a previous version that is within there. I can find it real quick. There we go. Looks like this. Has a template projectile here and a simple button. Want to test it out? Uses a very similar type of code within it, but it utilizes a protoflux node called the trajectory node. If I recall, it's under physics. Is it? And it's been a while since I've used the node. I forgot where it was. It's because I did all the math by hand so that you can adjust the position of the projectile no matter what you want to do. Those should be deleting themselves. Well, one thing is why we're remaking that thing. I think it was under math. Physics. Trajectory position. So I was half right. This is a pretty interesting note to kind of showcase here. You got your initial velocity, your gravity, your drag, and time. Now what you would do, you put like the current time in the world right there, or kind of like a stopwatch. Drag is how much air resistance it has, gravity is self-explanatory, and velocity is how fast it's going. And you plug this into something, right now there's no input, so it's not going to show anything. And using that, by also rotating the projectile and having something to detect it when it hits something, and have it do things like place objects where it hits, bounce where it hits. I am. Those are a lot. One thing I did do within these projectile systems, even if the case that the code didn't work in this case for this older version, every time it duplicates an object, it makes it non-persistent. One thing I'd like to show is what this does. If something is not persistent, it will not save in the world. Technically, you as a user are not persistent. If someone saves the world you're in, you're not getting saved because you're not persistent. Same with your avatar, etc. Because it's under a non-persistent root. That would also mean if I wanted to save this individually, I won't be able to save it because it's also non-persistent. And that is also a node that you can do too. If you duplicate an object, you can make it non-persistent. So I got within the code duplicate slot. And where is it? Parent slot. Is it under? No, wait, it's under info. Set slot persistent self. There we go. And then you can basically take this input here. This is basically what you duplicate, whether it be the projectile, decal, or whatnot. Plug it into there and make it non-persistent by not putting anything in there. This will make it persistent, this won't. The only thing I would think of that would actually I do this. The only case where I would keep it persistent and not even use this is if it's a tool that is meant to place objects in a world. Say if I have a tool that would place like plants or props in a world, like all these leaves on the ground, I would need them persistent. So yeah, I'm not worried about saving the world with all that stuff in there. I just need to delete the system itself, and then there wouldn't be any clutter. Marty SH asks, I like seeing internal tools, templates that people set up for their workflows. Are there any other cool internal tools you can show us? So, other than this, I do believe I've shown like a couple of these on previous streams. And one of the things that I'm going to be going through is fixing up the UI on these tools, and then going through and releasing them in the essentials. One of them being the Vine Planter tool. Mainly what this was used for is to create these little pieces of vines. So I point this tool here and click it. I'll plant these ivy vines around. And what I would do is I would take these, kind of group them together, and then bake them with a glue tool. Although I want to figure out if there's a way to put all of those under a single object and then just bake it together automatically, so I don't have to do that. And be able to say if I want to not make vines that kind of go off a ledge, but say hang from the ceiling or go up a wall. That would be some other options I would like to mess around with as well. There's also a UI on it. This made very early, so it's not really fancy or cleaned up at all. So it's one of the things I'm still kind of learning is to properly make nice fancy UI like this. Actually, that's one thing I could showcase too, is a tool that Ryuvi is using as a guide for the UI metrics. It would basically show the different number values for like spacing of text, like all these buttons. Each little individual space between it is determined by a number, and how wide the buttons are is determined how big the other buttons are with each other as well. And within working with UI, you got like padding is pretty much like how much space you're putting between each little UI piece, whether it be buttons, images, text, etc. If I recall, to comment on what you said there, Marty, the when Chroma and Raivi were designing this, they used like the golden ratio for like the choice of numbers. That's like a industry standard as well too, to get really nice looking UI. There is another tool along the lines of that Ivy tool, when instead of placing brushes that automatically paint, it places objects down. Like this, for example. This is another tool. I think I've shown it like once or twice within the past. But it's a placement tool that wherever I point, it will place objects there. Oh, why don't I see? Oh, okay. It's because it was partially in the ground. That's why I couldn't see it. Yep, this is the tool that I use to place all these leaves around. And these leaves right here. Although, I know I just placed them on a door and all over the floor, but thankfully what this does, it creates a slot in the root. Right now I forgot to name it, but it puts them all under a single folder. I can just delete and they're gone. There's a whole bunch of options on it. It's one of the earliest tools that I made within Resonite itself. It was probably even during when we were figuring out how to do the UI. As this was using like some of the old color ideas we had. It has like different scale parameters if you want it randomly scaled, randomly rotated, and also with the placement settings here. I got this little option here where I can like grab this little torus and kind of spin this wheel to open it up and close in regards to this area. And the larger that circle is, the area that I can paint the little leaves in. And I can change what kind of area I'm placing these in, like a circle edge, sphere volume, the shell of a sphere, box, although I think I do have to go through and refactor a lot of this. Yep, looks like the box needs to be redone. I don't think that little placement thing is respecting where the box is, but it shows how it's like adjustable. Of course, you got the square edge, you got a cube, and got this little UI here to adjust it. anywhere within this cube, be able to place whatever I have in this tool. It could be anything: furniture, plants, buildings in a city, to something small. And even how I'm placing it. Right now, I'm like using my left hand to kind of point it, and that's from the tool. I can also use my offhand, for example, to place the tools where my head is looking at, where my eye tracker is looking at too. I can place leaves on chat. It's pretty good that it works. I think it was the offhand that was broken for a while. Also made it so that you can place objects in just 3D space in front of the tool. And then say if I have a whole bunch of different variants of plants or props or whatnot, I can put them all in a container on the tool and either choose which one I want to place, or if I want to select one from random, and I can place random plants around if I want. And of course, name whatever would I put it under. My question is, did I accidentally name that slot, or... Okay, it's just there. Good. Yeah, it's one of the other major tools that was used to build the original set, and even this newer refresh of the tools and worlds that we're doing. Actually, I got a faster way of doing this. Quick tip: if you want to delete a lot of things underneath an object, and you don't care what's under it, there we go. Destroy slot children. Let's select that. And then, all gone. And there we go. Oh, there's only 2 there. I should just make that a tool. Like a little thing that you just drag whatever object you want to use with it. Those should disappear. Good. Okay, I'm trying to... There we go. Let's see where we're at here. Tip reference is inside the sun. Okay, let's put it right there. Is the text on the sticky notes translated, is what Marty SH asks. Alright, let's select it and show you. So we got the text canvas on here. Now, if I recall, if I go to the text itself, indeed we have a locale string driver on it. Only the ones that aren't like custom or blank ones will have this locale string driver on it. And for those who aren't familiar, this locale string driver is what drives the the translation system within Resonite. Every inspector UI menu, like default UI menu, has these, and these connect to a document pretty much almost like a Word document of every single string or line of text that is translatable. And depending on your settings, it will swap that particular text to a different language. I can demonstrate that too. And that source is also, in a way, open source by the community that helps pitch in to translate Resonite into different languages. If I go to my settings user interface and I go to locale, select locale, let's say Portuguese. It is now in Portuguese. A lot of these that are on the inspectors, mainly just general terms, or mathematical terms, so usually it isn't translated. So I'm going to swap between one. Here's Polish. It's like some of them aren't translated yet, like Turkish. And Czech. We got simplified Chinese. Spanish. Japanese. A whole bunch of languages you can select within there. There we go. Now it's back to English. I see. And we got the grip poses in there. Some of the next things I need to do on this is see what I can do about these little hexagons around here. Make them do something. Well, if we want these to spin, funny thing about rotation is we can take rotation as something, say this, and you multiply it. I think here what it was. It's under math, rotation. Wait, that's random, not rotation. Rotation, axis angle, float Q. Okay. So we're gonna add, what axis does this spin on? The Z. Okay. Let's do set a 1 there and put a 5 there. Then we're going to find a multiply node here. Multiply the first thing here, and then the second thing, we're going to plug it right back in. I think this is how you would do it. Well, that answers my question. Yeah. I mean, it's spinning at a constant speed, but what if we want to make it change when I press the trigger? I'm going to take this multiply node here. It stopped on its own. Interesting. Alrighty. So, knowing that this is a raw data tool, this makes it much easier. We can take the strength of the trigger, which is your primary, and not reference, but source. Plug it into there. And if I press the trigger, it spins. When I let go, it stops. Wherever it stops. And I can add a couple of zeros to increase its speed, or remove some to decrease it. That's quite fast, so... Alrighty. I'm going to make the bottom one counter-rotate in the opposite direction. So I'm going to take this, rotate, and we're going to use the same input here, but multiply it by -2. Say if I want to adjust both of them at once, I will just need a value negate. What that does here is that multiplies anything you put into it by -1. So in this case, if I put a +2, it spits out a -2. Now I can put this here, plug that into there so it shares it. Kind of clean this up a little. There we go. And then actually there. Multiply that first, then that. Okay. That's why. Now if I grab it, they rotate in opposite directions. What would be interesting is if, say, these kind of go down a little bit. I have an idea. Let's start with the ones on top again. It looks like they already got a rotation on them. Let's make this easier. By adding a parent object above it. That makes everything 0 here, so it's much easier to deal with. Transform drivers all the way down to gradient drivers and float Q. This component is gonna be a animator's best friend when it comes to animating things in Protoflux, next to animation tweening nodes, because you can have a number change over the course of this number here. So, what direction do I want it to rotate? Okay, this red one, which is X. Okay. Let's do... That's too much. More or less, I probably would need to do the same thing to the other side just to make sure. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's go back here. And then I can actually take this number, this rotation, and place it here. And if I place it back into here, I can change the rotation of it, for example. Just like that. Now what I could do is take the... actually, a better way of doing this, to make it all organized, is going to attach component, relations, value multi-driver, load. And why this specific one is that that's the type of number that this line is. Now if I put this here, and say if I have all of these connected to this one number, I can then click on this, type in 1, 0, or anything in between. It moves all of those at the same time. I did just see a question from Qualitorium. Is there a reason why the Protoflux, or the stock Protoflux tool, doesn't have snapping support built in directly? Maybe toggleable. Seems like such a nice quality of life thing, and the best practice encouragement without adding the complexity of a whole print system. With the snapping tool itself, it's not really how the Flux originally was designed. It was more or less designed in a way to just be in 3D space. The alignment tool is something that we would want to have in a more of a visual capacity. So having it like on a tool, other than like simple animations or like, well, in this case, a gizmo, literally, relegating it to more of a custom tool folder seems more appropriate at the moment. Something like that, if people get used to that being like the norm, we would have to make sure that compatibility is there for each new variant of the tool we have. So, I can adjust the volume. That should do it. That should be better. Okay. Let me bring out that snapping tool because it does look a bit different than the one I'm using right now. This is just a multi-tool that's currently in the essentials, but it's being updated. So this is the regular ProtoFlex tool, and if I go to the custom folder, there's this tool, other than the Sun tool as well, and this tool. I am currently using the Antlion Mod Mic wireless. There we go. One of the things that we were thinking of adding to these tools in general, like until now we actually did manage to add them, is a dynamic variable space and snapper on each one, so that people can, say, snap these tools onto like a shelf or so, or like a tool. And the dynamic variable within it also references the tool. Mainly that was done to make something like a updated our own version of a multi-tool possible. But it's that like idea of trying to make things work within like a certain way, and also being careful of setting standards within, say, like what's official. And as people will stick with some of these, make their own versions of these, and say when like a newer way of doing what we're doing comes out, we would have to update these tools, and the systems that people make will work with the new system. But since the fact that these are our own like style of tools, and anybody can make their own style of tools or systems or multi-tools, it's kind of in a way of like balancing out of making sure that we got good standards and good defaults for new and existing users to use, and custom ones that we can provide if people share them, say, like via public folders or their own worlds, etc. I almost forgot what I was doing earlier. I'm gonna take this and plug it directly into there. Let's get these on every single one of these. Welcome to the stream, Alex. Going through and updating the sun tool. If anyone also is just tuning in, welcome to the stream. This is the art team office hours. Other than just me fiddling around, updating things here and there, feel free to ask questions about the process or building things within Resonite. I think that is all of them. Okay. Seems a little too smooth. I know what I'm gonna do on this. Let's make it smoother. It looks more mechanical, not smooth. Interpolation. There we go. Let's get the classic smooth lerp. Now what this will do, it will smooth what goes in. And kind of delay it in a way. So if I smooth it down like that, has a more ramp up speed. I see we have another question. Or kind of a question. But, oh, you forgot to add a question mark if you are asking a question. This thing here will automatically populate this side of the chat with the question mark if you put it. So Alex Tupa asks, I'm interested in whether you as an art team have any ongoing cooperation with Zach Hartman in preparing or planning advertisements. Well, I share a lot of the, as well as Ryuvi, share a lot of the models with them. And they ask for tips or any suggestions with what they're designing here and there. A lot of it is on them to, like, design and direct it. Romo's been doing lots of cool stuff with the animation side of things. I think they're learning a lot as well too as they go. It's pretty neat to see. Especially if you folks are on the Discord, I recommend checking out the devlog posts they make. Okay. There we go. Alright, let's see here. I have an idea for adding some particles on here that kind of orbit around on the inside of there. Or a rotating texture of some kind. I should probably pack that protoflux in there first. Okay, let's pack it all within here. I forgot it has a destroy and duplicate block on it. I'll delete those for now. Now save it into the folder. After adding an iteration number on it, so I know what version it is. I think a torus would work in this case. That way we can put a texture that surrounds it as it spins. Drag it under the visual. Scale it down. Okay, now it's in the center. There we go. Let's add a panner 2D here. Let's place this material on here. Well, that is interesting. I'm going to try rotating at 90 degrees. Let's make this glow. That looks more like what I was thinking it should look like. Like these two counteracting spinning things that would use the energy of the sun. Okay, I realized there was one other thing I was thinking of adding to this. Possibly two things. One of them being making this rotation frame rate independent. Right now, the lower the frame rate, the slower it will spin. So let's make that not the case. Marty SH asked the question, are there solar flares on the mini sun? There is. It's using little shape keys on that mesh there to kind of bend the mesh in different ways. Using a pattern 1D. Or the time sign driver. Or wobbler. Wobbler 1D, there we go. That way it has a random value. Okay. It makes me think if I did this particular thing to other tools. That's delta. We need delta time, which is under time. Multiply delta time. Multiply this by delta time. It's probably because it's a really small number right now. If I multiply it by the delta of time. The sun gun tool is inspired by a Dyson sphere. The little hexagons around it. I need a clamp node. Make sure that number doesn't go over 1. There we go. I feel like this should have a light on it as well, like an actual light emitting. There is technically one on the Protoflux tool, and it's only on when you equip it. I still gotta do it to the custom one as well too, but that's a change. I think would be a pretty neat little addition. So let's add under the visual a little light. Let's go to rendering, light, and as we can see, let's make it dark. Now we can see it better. Now, I don't think its origin is correct. Now it is. All we'll need is a point light, which it already is. A radius of 1, the range of 1. Yeah, I think 1 would be good. You have like a miniature sun on that tool, so it's gotta glow. And what we can do is make this glow even brighter whenever you press the trigger. So what we'll do, put default color of the light, and then go into here, make this linear, and let's say put a 5 there. Drag the color of the light in there, and this progress into that volume multi-driver. Whoa, it's getting real bright. Let's desaturate the color of that a little. I'm thinking also adding it so that depending on how fast you move the sun, it'll spin faster. That's something we'll have to add to the protoflux itself too. We're approaching an hour and a half. So if anybody has pretty much questions, still a good time to do it. I'll end the stream once I figure out a way to make these spin faster as you move them, which we'll need in particular delta, which we had earlier. Let's see here. I think it's under math. There we go. In this case, we're going to need a float 3 because we're going to worry about its position. So a good example that I should use is the Gaussian splat tool. This thingy. Let's reverse engineer and adapt it. Let's have a look-see. I see it right away what we need. We got global transform, which is where it is in the world. And we'll take that position and convert it to a local position based off of where the user is. So if you're on a moving platform or vehicle, it won't start spinning out like crazy. And let's plug that in. That will be the tool itself. And then we got X, Y, and Z, but let's make it all one number. We're using magnitude. We don't want a negative number either. So absolute would be a good one. Is that delta time hidden underneath there? Or is that... Yeah, that is. Okay. We do have a question. I see why I put delta time on there. Okay, I will answer your question in a moment here. I see why you put a massive number in there. Okay, Siege and Dump asks, I like the snapping protoflux tool, but sometimes when I unpack some code and it's not correctly aligned, when I grab the nodes, the tool tries to correct the alignment, but it ends up skewing each node weirdly. I've now found a way to fix that once it happens, rather than undo and orientate again before unpacking. Do you know how to avoid the skewing? I think I know what you're talking about too. So if I grab this, it misaligns it from where it was. So there's two ways of doing this. One of them is if I point at a node with this tool and I open my radio menu, there will be an option called Set Snapping Plane. And what that does, it snaps your current grid to that node. So if I spawn in a new node, no matter where I am in the world, it will snap to that plane. Now the only downside is you can't move it back or forth for like 3D like space like that. But if you want to clear it, you can clear it. Now the other thing is simply selecting the thing that it's under and aligning it to world origin, like it's 000 on the rotation, and that gives you a bit closer to like the rotation that it was. And it helps with trying to get, and same with the scale. So if I set this to 1, it's mostly there. And I usually build almost all the protoflux for any of the default stuff in grid alignment to the grid, so it's easier for folks to mess around with and reverse engineer, which I'm literally reverse engineering my own code to build into here. I did notice I got a message from Nixelin. Let's see. I will poke them later. It is almost time to end the stream, though. Let's multiply this real quick. So would multiplying it work, or would adding it be better? Adding it would be better. So if I go into operators, and it should be one of the first nodes here, add float. Plug that into there. Need feature about this custom one that Ravy made. I can select all these nodes. Hit done. Move all these over. All at once. What we're looking for is to add it right here. Clear selection. Let's kind of swap these little cables out. Put these here. Plug it into here. And right now it's at 7,000. Let's see what happens. It is making it faster, but not fast enough. So I'm gonna quickly just open this right here. Value input. I'm gonna put 14000. Still pretty slow. Let's try 22000. Okay. I think if I slow down the initial speed, and then make the smoothing much more faster. Okay, I'm gonna just add another 0 to make it even more obvious. Okay, that's too obvious. Seems to be good. Let's do one other thing too. The last thing I'll do is unpack this one more time and make it... Wait, it's a raw data tooltip. I don't even need to do that. We need to make this light only turn on when it's equipped. So what we can do, take this equipped state and go to the light and have it drive the active state of the light. So now I have it like that. It's off. If I have it equipped, it's on. Okay, we have a couple more questions to answer. Before we hop off for the night, I'm going to save a progress save of this tool here and leave it in this world. And hold a stream. Actually, I'll leave this here too, and that's the next thing I'll be updating. Sun gun tool, there we go. Place that right there. So we have two questions left. One from VT Arxelis. How many art team is yes? And I'm thinking you're referring to how many folks are in the art team itself. So far, there's myself, there's Rue, there's Ryuvi, there's Lacey, and there's like some overlap with the media team with Nex and Theo. There's also overlap with the marketing as well, with both Chroma and Ariel. But a lot of it is mainly just us four. And coinciding with that question, Zedgendub asks, which are the Resonite main teams? Although they kind of blend in because a lot of us wear a lot of different hats. It's mainly divided up into, you got engineering, which is like coding, you got art, you got marketing, you got video or media, you got support and moderation, or trust and safety is a way of putting it, moderation as well. And yeah, there's like blends between them. Like Ryavi works with engineering as well as art, kind of bridging the two. And we help sometimes within engineering, say testing things or asking for features or testing features as well. There's still a lot we gotta do with some of the stuff in the Cloud Home tutorial world and Avatar Gazebo worlds that we're doing, but a lot of it has been done. There's interesting things that I'm excited to show once we're done, like the teleporter over there. But that pretty much wraps up for this afternoon, or this evening now, at least where I'm at. Well, that concludes the Art Team office hours. Tune in next week, usually on Wednesdays around 6 p.m. CST, Central US time. And Fruits does theirs on Sundays, as well as Moderation, Veer, and Git do their moderation office hours on Sundays as well. And Prime does their primetime office hours on Discord on Tuesdays. See you all later. Let's see here. And